Welcome one, welcome all to my first TBR of 2026. So I want to start this off by saying I hope you all are having a wonderful festive period and a wonderful end to your year, and I wish you all the luck for 2026. Let it be a fantastic year for all of us guys. But today I'm going to be telling you about the stack of books that I'm hoping to get to in 2026. And guys, I am not going into the year with a clean slate. And I know I was optimistic in December, but I also know that that was truly just optimism, and I knew at the time, but I actually don't know exactly where I'm going to be by the time we roll into the new year, because I am filming this a little bit in advance so that I also can make the most of the festive period, and so I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be ending the year on. Hopefully at this point you will have seen the December episode of Charlotte or Scrap It. If you have not, I am so sorry and we need an intervention, but that should have been and gone by now. I'm then hoping to finish the Lycanius trilogy by James Islington and have that wrapped up by the end of the year, and then I can't decide whether I want to go into reading some of my Patreon books and clearing those to have a better slate for the start of the year, or whether to start my January arcs, which we're going to be talking about in this video. So let me know down in the comments whether you would rather the first vlog that I film going into 2026 be some of my Patreon picks or my January arcs. And then we'll see, because I can't decide which way I'm going to go. But today we are going to be talking about my book club books. There are a few, the Patreon picks, the arcs, and I need to select a new reread and resume series, because I am going to have finished, fingers crossed, the Lycanius trilogy by the end of the year. And I have decided that I'm not just going to pick like I did with the Lycanius trilogy. We're going to do something a little bit more interesting, so stay tuned for that. But starting off with the book club books, they are the most important. I need to read both Blood and Steel and Vows and Ruins by Helen Shorter. So this is for my Patreon fantasy romance book club, and Blood and Steel was actually our book for October and November, and Vows and Ruins is our book for December and January. Now Blood and Steel is going to be a reread for me, which is why I have left it so late, because I'm going to read both of them back to back to create the spoiler video that I post on Patreon. So those definitely need to be done before the end of January, otherwise I'm going to be falling way too far behind on my own book club, and that is not a good look. So this one is a romantasy series. I really enjoyed book one when I read it, so I am excited to continue. And it is following a girl who wants to be a warrior in this world where there is a prophecy that a woman that wields a blade is going to bring about the end of the world, and so they have banned all women from training as warriors. However, the main character sort of inadvertently performs a favor for the king, and he asks like what can he do in return for what she's done for him. So she asks him if she can train to become one of the warriors of Thesmar, and he agrees and sends her to this training academy where everybody looks down upon her because it has been a long time since a woman has been allowed in the ring, and the person that is assigned to train her is one of the legends of Thesmar, which are a step up from the warriors, and he is stoic, grumpy, hard to get along with, but somehow they manage it. Unfortunately though, fraternization is not allowed amongst the warriors of Thesmar because it causes a bit of a conflict of interest if there is anything more precious to them than their vow to protect the realm. The other book club book I ordered almost a month ago now, and I still have not received it, so I really hope that comes in soon because I do indeed need it, and that is A Time of Courage by John Gwynne. This is the final book in the Blood and Bone series for Catchup book club. Do not worry though, in case you missed it, we have announced that we are going to be adding on the Bloodsworn saga, I think it's called, from John Gwynne, which is his Norse mythology series, following on from the Banished Lands. So do check that out if you're looking for something to get involved in the new year. The first live show for that is going to be in March, so you have plenty of time. But the live show for A Time of Courage is going to be on my channel on the 11th of January, and this is a series that is set in a world where there was a war between men and giants, and there is this ancient giant prophecy that there are going to be two avatars that rise up, one for light, one for dark, and they are going to be the bright star and the black sun, and the whole world is going to divide between the two of them, and they're going to fight it out, and one of them are going to win. So that's kind of like the plot of The Faithful and the Fallen, but then in the Blood and Bone series we're set 150 years after the conclusion of The Faithful and the Fallen, and we are diving into the nuances, I want to say, of good and evil, and how sometimes there's not much difference between the two. So throughout The Faithful and the Fallen we learn that all of the mythological creatures of legend are maybe not just the things of myth. So as the series goes on, the magic becomes more present and the creatures become more prevalent. And in the Blood and Bone series, a lot of issues have been arising from the regular people of the world coming to terms with some of these beings that have only existed in this world over the last like 150 years. One of the powers that is now in control has kind of been dominating the land, and the people don't like this. So we follow some people who are part of this domineering force. We follow some people whose cultures and societies and land has been colonized by this domineering force. We follow people whose families have fled to escape it. And we also follow people who are still taking up the mantle of our heroes from the faithful and the fallen. So multi-perspective fantasy series based on old English legend and myth. And I'm a little bit scared. I don't know how this is going to wrap up. I really don't, because we have taken on in 3 relatively small books for epic fantasy. We've taken on a monumental task, and I don't know exactly where it's going to be brought to a close. For the Patreon picks, now I said I'm not going into 2026 with a clean slate, but I did read 2 in December, which means that I just have 2 left. So I think I'm going to maybe combine one of these with the Legends of Thesmar for a vlog, or one Legends of Thesmar book, 2 of these, and get through them that way. We'll kind of see how it ends up working out. But my Patreon pick for November, which was Princess's pick, is Wolfsong by TJ Klune. I have read and enjoyed TJ Klune in the past. I'm a little bit nervous going into this one because I do know, I'm pretty sure that it's shapeshifters and wolves. Not really my thing, but I am willing to give this a try. Mainly this was a cover buy, but like I said, there was precedent because I have enjoyed TJ Klune before. And this is following a boy who lives next door to what I'm going to assume is a shapeshifter family. I think that his own family life is pretty rough, and he's taken in by this family, considers them to be family. And I think he also becomes attracted to one of these other boys, but then the family moves and they leave. And I think that this takes place when he meets that boy once again, and I'm assuming, based on how the synopsis is laid out, that we are going to have a bit of a dual timeline there, flicking between when they live next door and the present day. So I'm definitely intrigued. I just have read a lot more of TJ Klune's cozy leaning stories, so I don't know how I'm going to feel about this one, especially because it does have wolves. And then my December Patreon pick was Evie's pick, and I'm so excited for this one now actually, and that is The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. I heard you guys loud and clear when you recommended the audiobook for this one, so that is the route that I'm going to take. I may read along at the same time to start off with, but definitely will be utilizing the audiobook in some way. This one is a literary fiction, I think. It has historical elements. It's set in 1945 in Barcelona, and a man takes his son, I think, to a used bookstore where he is allowed to choose a book. And the book that the boy picks is called The Shadow of the Wind, so this gets really meta, and I think it's like a book within a book kind of story. I think there's some mystery element here as well. I've heard really good things about it, which is why I own it anyway, even though it's outside of my comfort zone. And based on what you guys said in the comments, I'm even more interested in picking this up now. Okay, so for my January Patreon pick, the top tier of my Patreon all recommend books that go into this little mug, and then every month I pull one out and I read it over the couple of months that follow. We've had a little bit of a refill going into 2026, which I'm very excited about, especially because I'm now, for the last year and going forward, I'm asking my patrons to recommend their books based on books that I already own. So I'm using my entire own TBR video, which if you missed it, I've just posted it. If you guys want to check it out, see an overview of literally everything that I own in this moment that I haven't read. You can also leave your recommendations in the comments, and I will be utilizing those for a future episode of Shelve It or Scrap It. So choose wisely, because that will be coming up in the next few months, I think. But let's see what January's pick is going to be. This one is, that's blue, right? So this one was added in 2025. Ooh, A Psalm for the Wild Bill, and this is Rebecca's pick. So speaking of that entire own TBR video, some of the comments I got on that really confused me when people were talking about the books that they are recommending because they think I like them, and the ones that they think that I'm potentially going to sample and DNF and unhaul. A bunch of people said that they don't think I'm going to like A Psalm for the Wild Bill by Becky Chambers because it's cozy. So my question is this more cozy than Becky Chambers books typically are? Because I've read everything from Becky Chambers because apart from this is the only thing that I haven't read. And obviously, as you can probably tell, having read all of their work, they're an author that I really enjoy. So now I'm a little bit concerned about this. Am I not going to enjoy it? I mean, Becky Chambers does skew slightly cozy in the fact that not a lot happens or the plot isn't necessarily the focus of their books, but I really like the topics that they discuss and also their perspective on those topics. So I'm wondering if this is a little bit different than I'm expecting it to be, but this one it's the first book in the Monk and Robot duology. I think it's just like 2 novellas, and I really like the paperback bind-up that they've released of this, so I'm thinking about trading in this copy even though I love it for that paperback. But this is following a monk and a robot, and I think the robots have disappeared for some reason. They haven't been seen. I don't know whether they went extinct, people don't use them, technology's dead, I don't know what the deal is. But one day a tea monk is approached by a robot who is checking in, as is his duty, and he asks the monk, what do people need? Which I'm assuming sparks a discussion between them and maybe compares what people needed in the time that the robots were a thing in comparison to what people need now. Really glad that this came out actually, because this is a tiny one and the only Becky Chambers book that I haven't, I mean there's a sequel as well, but that obviously also won't take me very long to read. Next up we have my arcs. So in case you missed it, my anticipated releases video has just gone live detailing all of the books that I'm excited for in the first half of 2026, including the arcs that I currently have. So I'm hoping to tackle all 3 of my January arcs in one vlog, similarly to the video that I made in November with all of the books I had from publishers that released that month as well. So the first one I have, I think the first week in January, is Rings of Fate by Melissa de la Cruz, and of this batch, I think this is the one that I'm the most excited about. I haven't read from Melissa de la Cruz before. I feel like she's an author that I've kind of missed the boat on a little bit. I know she was very popular in the young adult fantasy space, but by the time I got around to her, I kind of grown out of that genre a little bit. But this one was described to me as a Princess Bride kind of romantasy, and I'm here for that. I love the Princess Bride. This is following a barmaid who I'm pretty sure has been fighting off proposals left, right, and center. And our male main character in here is a prince who is tied to the Rings of Fate, and these are rings that I think aren't supposed to touch human flesh, but they have been bound to him and they are killing him, and the barmaid gets caught up in the curse as well. Very excited to explore this. It has really small font, which is concerning me because it's not a tiny book either. But of the 3, this is the one that I am the most hyped to get to. For the 15th of January, I have the Book of Blood and Roses by Annie Summerlee. This one, I'm not sure if it's young adult, new adult, but it is set in, I'm pretty sure it's a university, so maybe more of like a new adult book, but it's a university for humans and vampires, and our main character is a vampire hunter who is attending this university undercover to try and find the Book of Blood and Roses, which I think is a vampire compendium, and she ends up feeling herself drawn to one of the vampires attending this school, which obviously is a conflict of interests. And then the last of my January arcs is for the 22nd, and that is Hot Desk by Laura Dickerman. This one I believe has already been released in the US, but it has an early 2026 release for the UK, and this one is a contemporary romance following 2 rival editors at a publishing company that have to share a desk. I am intrigued about this based on how similar it sounds to The Hating Game by Sally Thorne, which is my favorite contemporary romance ever. I'm not expecting it to be as good as The Hating Game because, like I said, it's my favorite romance ever, but I hope it has at least some of the vibes that I love from that book. So the last thing that we have to add is my new reread and resume series. I have been so excited to pick this, and I was literally just going to pick it, just decide what it is that we're going to read, but I've decided that I'm actually going to be using a spinner wheel. So if you don't know what reread and resume is, I think in the summer I posted a video that had 10 series where I'd read the first book, but now so long had passed that if I want to continue on with the series, then I would have to reread book 1. And these are series that I enjoyed the first book enough that I'm willing to reread and excited to read the first book so that I get to continue on. So I've now, hopefully, by the end of the year, will have completed one of the series off that list, which is the Lycanius trilogy by James Islington. And I have put the rest into a spinner wheel so that we can see what I'm going to be tackling next. There is one series that I've missed off this, so we have 8 on the wheel in total. I haven't included Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir or the Locked Tomb series because that series is not completed and I don't know when the next book is going to be released. So all of these are ones that are either complete or the release date for the next book, or the last book should I say, is soon enough that I can still start the series now. Let's see what my next series is going to be. Okay. I'm not mad about it. This is actually really good timing. So The Pomegranate Gate by Ariel Kaplan is a criminally underrated series, in my opinion. The reason why this is such good timing is because I have just included book 3, which is called The Kingdom of Almonds, in my anticipated releases video, and I'm pretty sure it's released in March. The idea of this project is to read 1 book in the series like per month, which means that by the time we get to March, I will be up to date, ready to continue and finish the series on release. We love to see it. But you have not read this series and you are a fan of the David Bad series by Shannon Chakraborty, which is also included in my Reread and Resume project, or the Winter Night trilogy by Catherine Arden, which is one of my favorites, then you need to pick this series up. I'm sick of telling you guys. So this is set in a world that is inspired by medieval Spain, specifically at a time when Christianity was sweeping through Europe, which is one of my favorite historical fantasy time periods, if not actually my favorite historical fantasy time period. Christianity is forcing the Jewish population out of the city, so they're given 2 choices. They can either convert to Christianity or they have to leave. So our 2 main characters, Naphtali and Toba, don't know each other. They both just live in the city and they join the caravan that is leaving town. However, Toba has an affliction where she can speak but she can't shout, and she can walk but she can't run. So she is continuously falling behind this caravan, and Naphtali sees a stranger usher her off the side of the road into the woods for nefarious purposes. So he follows, trying to rescue Toba, but by the time he finds her, she has disappeared through the Pomegranate Gate into a different dimension. The creatures of this realm are not human, but the events of this world very closely mirror Toba's own. So she finds herself in this crumbling estate with this kind of depressed lord and his nephew, trying to figure out a way back home, but also unraveling the politics of the mirror realm. Meanwhile, Naphtali is back home and has teamed up with Toba's grandmother to try and figure out what happened to her and get her back from the mirror realm, and they are on a very humorous wild goose chase around the world. Very excited to be continuing on with this one. Book 1 has been living in my mind rent-free since I read it, so I'm so happy that I get to continue and finish this series very, very soon. So once again, I have quite an ambitious TBR. As always, do I expect to get to all of these? No, but as usual, I am anticipating getting to most of them. My episode of Shelve It or Scrap It that I'm going to be filming in January is going to be quite a short one. I could have taken this as an easy month. I actually currently have something in mind that's going to make it a little bit more difficult for myself, because of course I am. But do keep an eye out for that, as well as all of the other content that I have in store for you guys. I hope that you have had a wonderful festive period. Like I said, I hope you have a fantastic new year and that 2026 is your year, and of course also that it's mine. But down in my comments, if you would like to let me know your thoughts on any of these books, then please feel free, go ahead. I would also be really curious to know what your first book of 2026 is going to be, because I know there's a ton of people who put a lot of stock in what their first book of the year is going to be. For me, it's whatever happens, happens, you know. But if you have an intentional first read of the year, I would love to know what that is. And if you would like to let me know you were here, but you don't feel like you have anything to say, leave me a robot emoji for A Psalm of the Wild Bill by Becky Chambers. But aside from that, guys, please don't forget to like this video if you liked it and subscribe if you wanna. If you head into my description box, you'll find a link to my Goodreads, my Instagram, and also my Patreon if you want to follow me on any of those. But that's it from me today, guys. Bye!
Oh, you bite your friend like chocolate. You say you will go where nobody knows, with guns hidden under our petticoats. We're never gonna quit it, no, we're never gonna quit it, no.